Alright, you guys, today we are going to be talking about building community as homeschoolers. This is a collaboration hosted by myself and Devine over at Calm in the Chaos Homeschool. I'm going to go ahead and link the playlist down below in the description bar, so make sure that you check it out when you are done. All of the mamas today are going to be giving you tips and tricks and ways that they have found to build community as homeschoolers. I know sometimes this can be an awkward topic. Everybody that doesn't homeschool just thinks that we like live in a basement and we never leave our house and we're just going to be those weird homeschoolers. But I think also for many of us who homeschool, we tend to be a little too busy trying to go out and do all of the things and make sure that our children have all of the experiences and all of the friendships that we have in our power to give them. And sometimes it can leave us feeling really exhausted. So maybe some of you are veteran homeschool moms who, you know, somewhere along the way you started doing something and then life got just chaotic and you stopped doing it, and maybe this collaboration can give you a little bit of a mental refresher of like, oh yeah, I used to do that and that used to work really well. And some of you might just be brand new homeschool moms who are like, how am I going to do this crazy thing? You know, how am I going to homeschool all the kids and find friendships and groups and activities and things to join? It's really not that bad. Like, I know like when you're first stepping into it and you just feel the weight and the pressure of everything, you're like, oh man. But as time goes on and you find different rhythms and routines and ideas that work for you, it's really not that bad. A lot of my tips, I think, are going to be coming more from a military spouse perspective than a homeschool mom perspective. If you have followed my channel for any length of time, you might know that my husband retired from the military in June, and we moved to a completely new state in May. And so we have been thrust into a new community and a new area where we have to build friendships and put ourselves out there again. And can I just say, I hate that. I think the older I get, I hate it. I loathe it. Especially as an introvert, I get like zero happiness from being the new person. Walking up to a group of women who already know each other and have established relationships and things to talk about and conversation pieces that they just know about each other, and not knowing anybody is my version of hell. I don't enjoy it at all. And I hope YouTube doesn't get me for saying that HE double hockey sticks word. So yeah, so I have some tips and tricks for you. And just know that this is coming from somebody who does not get enjoyment from being the new person. Me and my kids really miss our old state and just all of the friendships and the co-op and the book club that I was a part of, and just all of the things that we had that was ours. And having to rebuild that here has been challenging at times, but we've done many things this year to build some community. So my first tip is join all of the Facebook groups. And if you don't have a Facebook, get a Facebook. Like I don't, and don't get me wrong, I say this with caution, because I know that social media can be its own beast, and honestly sometimes it's annoying. But it serves its purpose, and it has blessed us at more duty stations than not with friendships. And in fact, I think all of the friendships, for at least for the most part, like 90% of my friendships over the last 13-14 years have come from initial meetings on Facebook. So join all of the Facebook homeschool groups that are local to you, and start posting, start going to some of their meetups, their field trips, their park days, their mom's night outs. It is such a blessing to kind of get out of your comfort zone, even if you're like me and you hate it, and meet some new moms. And, you know, even if you just take your kids to one of their park days and you just allow them to build friendships independently, I think it can be a very beautiful thing. And I like to personally join all of them, and then we just kind of try out one here, one there, and see kind of, what we like and what we don't like. And with that, in all of the very many groups that you join, you can start asking about co-ops and whether you want a Christian co-op or a secular co-op, or, just a extracurricular only type of co-op or a social co-op. There's so many vast differences in the types of co-ops that you can find. And so really start thinking about what type of co-op experience you want to have. Luckily, I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted a Christian co-op. I wanted one that had a thriving teen community, because we plan on homeschooling throughout high school. And so I wanted one that my kids, aren't cut off at 6th grade or 7th grade or, right before high school. I wanted one that they could start now and then grow with their friends all the way to graduation in. And with that, I wanted one that not only has a thriving teen community, but that does things like winter formal or homecoming dances or even graduations. What we experienced with our last co-op in our previous state was so beautiful that, like, at the end of the year, when all of the teenagers were graduating, they were able to put up photos of themselves and their families were able to recognize them on stage and just take a few moments to impart knowledge and wisdom and just all of their emotions about their child graduating. And it was such a beautiful experience, and I really, really wanted to find a co-op that did all of that. All right, you guys, I turned on the light because it's getting a little dark outside. It rains here. We moved from Arizona where it rains maybe twice a year, so it has been a joy to have rain again. I didn't realize how much I missed it until we got here. Okay, so anyway, so I knew exactly what we wanted in a co-op, and by God's grace, we found it. And we are not taking co-op classes this semester. I don't know if I mentioned that in our last collaboration video, just because we were so busy doing all of the things that we kind of needed to rein it in and focus on our schoolwork instead of just going and building community. I'll talk about that in a bit. But if anything, taking a break from it this semester has really shown me how much we really do love it, and we plan to continue in the following semesters. All right, so groups, Facebook groups and co-ops are I think going to be some of the easiest ways to build community. But next is, start a group. It can be any type of group. Homeschoolers love to join things. If there's anything that I've learned, if there's something that you enjoy doing, chances are there's going to be somebody else who enjoys doing that as well. So whether it's Pokemon Go or book clubs or, hey, I'm going to be doing cooking classes at my house, or I'm going to be doing a science unit study or gather round unit study. Homeschoolers love to join things. So once you kind of have an idea of what you enjoy teaching or your child enjoys learning about, or you would just enjoy doing together, invite other homeschoolers into that. There is something just amazing when you get to share the things that excite you with other people who it also excites, and I think that's one of the easiest ways to build friendships. When we got here, my kids decided that they wanted to host a book club every month, and that has been something that is easy enough to do. I'm only committed to doing it once a month, and so it's nothing that I feel overwhelmed by, and it's something that we have been able to start to build really great friendships in, and it has been such a blessing to have. And if something like that would interest you and you're not quite sure where to start, Wild and Free has a book club book, and this has been mainly what we have used. We are going to veer from it a little bit this month, but they give you so many wonderful ideas. So they give you book ideas to read, and then they give you gathering places to go and host your book club at, some food ideas, discussion questions, even some craft ideas, and then little games and stuff. So it's really fun and it's low key and it is a great way to meet people if a book club is what you want to do. So that's one of the things I loved. Like really, like with homeschooling, the sky is the limit. Even if you're just like, hey, I want to start making my way through a DK book on animals and you learn about a new animal every week. You know, people, if you create it, people will come. So don't hold back. It doesn't have to be perfect to be able to meet people and build community. And honestly, one of the things I think that I learned the most as a military spouse is that if you want to be involved, if you want to build community, sometimes one of the easiest ways to do that is by taking charge and leading something, whether it's a group or, you know, a weekly activity. Anything that you enjoy doing will bring people to you, and then it's not as hard, especially when you're starting the group. It makes it a lot easier to be the new person because everybody else is going to be the new person too. So it doesn't make it as intimidating. So if you're an introvert like me, who you don't like walking up to people, big groups of people who already know each other, that might be the perfect thing for some of you. All right, now this next tip is it's going to have pros and cons, okay? But join everything. Like join as much as you can. Even if you're not like physically signing up for things, but if you're just joining all of the groups just to get exposed to everything that there is, and then going to multiple groups every week and seeing, you know, what do you like? What do you not like? At the beginning of our homeschool year, my kids were in jiu-jitsu. My daughter was in American Heritage Girls. All of the kids were in co-op. And then we were also in 2 other homeschool groups that just do like random field trips and park days and things like that. And it was really nice to have that type of exposure to see like, okay, we like this group and we don't really like this group, and this group is a good match, but this group doesn't feel like the right fit. So in the beginning of the year, from basically August to December, we were really, really busy, like to the point where I'm not even gonna lie, it was overkill. And I really should have prayed over our schedule more at the beginning of the year and been a lot more diligent in saying, okay, you know, we can pick, you know, 2 activities to be in or 3 activities, but not where we're more focused on building community than building up our academics. And I honestly think that we would be continuing with all of these groups had my toddler not gotten into his speech appointments. The minute he was added to speech and I had that on my list every single week, everything else just became too much. It was just too much to focus on. And it made me feel like we were out of the house so much more and focusing on, you know, running and going and doing than we were on educating and just breathing and being still and just, you know, I don't want to make our homeschool so busy that my kids don't even know what rest is. So come January, we pulled out of our co-op classes, we pulled out of American Heritage Girls, and then the kids are still doing jiu-jitsu, and now my toddler has his speech appointments. And then we still do like the random popcorn field trips, either with our co-op or the other homeschool groups, but it's just not as like bam, bam, bam all week long. So with all of that said, I think it was actually really good that we dabbled as much as we did, even though it did lead to a little bit of burnout, because now I know where to focus our efforts and our time and our attention and our schedule next year. And I know the groups where, you know, my kids are making friends. They made some wonderful friends at our co-op. I met some wonderful mothers and fathers at our co-op as well. But our American Heritage Girls group wasn't really that great. Like some of the girls were very mean to my daughter, and some of the moms kind of were cliquey and didn't really welcome new people, and that's just not the type of group that I'm looking for at this stage of my life. That doesn't mean that my daughter won't go into American Heritage Girls next year, and it doesn't even mean that the group that we had initially joined this year is bad. I just don't think it's the right fit for us. But had I not, you know, joined up and signed up for all of the things, I wouldn't have known that. So I do think that if you're going to take that approach where you just join everything like I did, make sure that you're just consistently checking in with yourself and being intentional either every week or once a month where you're reassessing. Because just because you kind of dig yourself into this hole of, okay, we're going to try out everything while we build community and we make friendships, doesn't mean that you have to continue throughout the end of the year. If we had not gotten my son into speech, I would most likely be doing everything that we were already doing, and I would have been exhausted from it. It was just that one little catalyst that forced me to think like, okay, what are we doing? Like right now we're kind of all tired. We're going from one thing to the next. There's not a lot of rest. We're not getting a lot of our curriculum done. And it just kind of forced me to, rein everything in and bring it back home so we can get our curriculum done. We can enjoy our summer. Now I know where to focus all of our efforts next year instead of joining the same groups and just doing the same thing because it was just already, a snowball effect. So I think that is all of my tips and tricks for building community. That's also not to include things like, going to church and joining extracurriculars. I think that those things are all amazing and that they can really truly help you build community, but I don't think there's anything quite like building community already in the established homeschool spaces. So if you are currently looking for different ways to build community, I hope and pray that you find it. If you have some other tips that I have not yet mentioned, then link them down below in the comments. I would love to hear them. Don't forget to check out the playlist. I will have it linked down below in the description bar. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a big thumbs up, hit that red subscribe button, and I will see you again later. Bye.